Hello, everyone, and welcome to At the Buzzard Podcast. We're gonna have our special episode today. So letting y'all know, y'all wonder like, man, I thought this was gonna be a once a week thing. This will now be we're gonna do twice a week an episode. So this is
Yes.
our second episode of the week. So I am your host, the man, myth, and the legend. Yes, that's me, King Will, and I have my co-host.
And I'm Justnet, the one and only, here to wreak havoc.
Yeah, Jessnet, I'm gonna need you to take this cold behind weather you got in Georgia back to New York. It's
it's
outrageous.
yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. It's definitely nippy out and everyone's going crazy, but we will survive.
Whatever. Whatever. You see, I'm bundled up in a hoodie and I'm inside. It is cold out here. So
That's hilarious.
so for today's episode, this is gonna be a very basketball centric episode. We're gonna start off with a couple of NBA news. We're gonna talk about the Trae Young news that came through. Also, Zach LaVine is another one that we can talk
Hmm.
about. And then also
True.
we're gonna do our top 10 point guards now, top two guards now, and top small forward three, however you like to do it. You know, us that play basketball, position go one, two,
Hmm.
three, four, five. We're gonna give
Yeah.
our top 10, and then next week we'll give you our top power forwards and our top centers, and we'll let you know who we think are the top 10 players in the league right now. So
Right.
to get started, let's talk about Trae Young. So if a lot of people might have seen the news that a lot of executives feel like Trae Young may be trying to request for a trade in the future. There has been a lot of bad energy. The Hawks are really struggling this year. There's a 9 seed, even though they spend a lot of money, and they traded for Murray from the
Hmm.
Spurs. But they're still
Hmm.
at the 9 seed. A lot of people are trying to blame Trae Young for this issue, and Nate McMillan and Trae Young has already had a situation. But
Right.
my opinion, I think we're just all just panicking because if you read the article, and the article was by ESPN's Chris Haynes said in the article that Trae Young is cool with the new GM, Landry Fields, and they talk to each other every other day. And I just think this is just a lot of smoke because the team is struggling. And Trae is playing okay. He's been playing better lately, but he has not been playing to the level that I know I expect out of him. But what you think, Jess?
Right.
What you think?
Well, yeah, I feel like it is blown out of proportion. Every superstar, young, especially someone young, goes through this uh, with their coach. To me, whether it's blown out of proportion or if it is true, when they are struggling. So I do think it
Mm-hmm.
will blow over. Um, I think Trey, for what I'm hearing, he's being a little sensitive. So I think it will all pass by once they start getting the ball rolling. And Nate McMillan has proven himself to to be a great coach. And
Mm-hmm.
that run in the playoffs when they beat my Knicks, and then who else? The
76ers,
Sixers.
the famous Ben Simmons game series.
Yes, the Sixers, Lord. And then they met the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, Nate McMillan was there, and of course, they surprised everyone. I think people are starting to figure them out a little bit, just a little bit, but he was a product, Nate McMillan, to getting them better. So hopefully, everything will go back to normal. And I don't like. Normally, they're going to pick the coach, excuse me, the
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 player.
player.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, they are going to pick the player, and they are going to blame the coach. I hope it's not in this situation. So, but I think it will though if this continues to go. They're going to get rid of Nick McMillan,
Well,
and it's unfortunate.
I'll say this. I think Trae doesn't want to get rid of the coach because a lot of people remember the previous coach before Nate was Lloyd Pierce, and Lloyd Pierce and Trae did not get along. And there was a lot of rumors that Trae was the one that pushed Lloyd Pierce out and asked for Nate McMillan. Now, Nate McMillan, I know, is known for being a tough coach. He demands you to play defense, which is Trae Young's biggest deficiency in his game. Is he plays?
Hmm.
He's basically a turnstile out there. You go out there, you just go right past them. One of my most
Right.
frustrating things with Trae. And I think that's why the Hawks got Murray to try to compensate for that because Murray is a very good
Yeah.
defender, legitimate maybe top 10, top 15 defender in the league right now. But right
Hmm.
now, I just think the Hawks got to figure this stuff out. My biggest thing with the Hawks, I always felt like, and people that know me, No, I've been saying this for years. I
John
felt like they should have
Collins.
traded John Collins 2 years ago.
I
2 years
knew
ago.
it.
And don't get it twisted. John Collins is good. I good. But I remember when John Collins was doing and balling, and everybody was like, "Oh man, Trae Young and Steve Nash and John Collins, Amari Stoudemire." And I was like, "Y'all wow," because a lot of people forget how good Amari Stoudemire is.
His
So
athleticism is these. His athleticism could be tested as Amari's.
absolutely, but
John, yeah,
Amari had a front game. Amari could shoot. See, my thing
yeah.
with John Collins, I compare him to this. Is probably gonna be a bad comparison now because he got in trouble. But I remember when I went to the Atlanta Hawks Charlotte Hornets game last year, and Miles Bridges, who played the same position as John
Mm-hmm.
Collins, was absolutely killing him. And I said, my thing, the difference between Miles Bridges and John Collins, John
Mm-hmm.
Collins can't create his own points. He needs
Right.
Trae to create his points. Miles Bridges can create his own shot. He can dribble, he can shoot, and I just want Collins to do that. But Collins seemed like the only way he can, put his game is just catching alleys. And to me, once you figure that out, and I think teams are figuring that out, John Collins is worthless because he's a okay defender, but he's
Yeah,
not
he's
a shot
okay.
blocker. That's why they
No.
got Capella. Capella's the shot blocker. But
Right.
Collins is an okay defender, but when he plays against a Giannis or any of these athletic power forwards, he gets killed. So
Yeah.
I just think this is just really the Hawks struggling. They had the minor incident where Trae didn't play, and now if people has noticed, there has been more fans and reporters who are coming at Trae now. Now he's starting to, and he is acting like a baby a little bit. I admit, you got to understand when you're struggling, fans and reporters are going to want to know why. You got to handle these questions. But
Right.
I think the Hawks are going to be fine. They just got to figure it out. I wish they trade John Collins, but I think his worth is nothing right now. You might can get a mid-level player, maybe a second-round pick for him. Maybe you can convince somebody who's desperate enough to get a first-round pick.
Maybe the
But I think the Hawks are
Pacers.
going to be fine. Hey, man, give me Miles Turner. I love that. I like Miles Turner's game.
Yeah, Pacers been trying to get rid of him forever.
Hey, speaking of that, Pacers, I know you saw Ayton and what's the coach name?
Monty.
Yeah, Monty Williams. Did you see that their little dust up?
Yeah, yeah, that little scuffle. Apparently, it looks like Aiden is, for what they're saying, the speculation is that he's being very selfish, and I think he wants more touches.
Mm-hmm.
And Monty's like not. I mean, you could tell. You could tell. I'm shocked they gave him that much money because you can already tell before that, like they weren't on the same page, and then when training camp came and he said he didn't even speak to Monty
Yes.
the whole time. That's
Yeah.
odd. So I was very, very shocked that they even gave him that much money, and I already knew it was going to be like not the best relationship. I wouldn't be shocked though if now their situation. I wouldn't be shocked if they keep Monty and they trade Ayton somewhere.
I mean, I could believe that, but then I think the reason why Phoenix signed Ayton is because they didn't want to feel like they made a mistake. Because first of all, as everybody tries to get on me about the Hawks trading Trae Young, getting Trae Young for Luka Doncic, I'm like, hell, Phoenix completely didn't draft him. And now Luka is basically Phoenix daddy. Like Luka has been absolutely killing him. I think Ayton just don't know what to do in that offense. You got Chris Paul, you got Booker, that was your other that guy's like Kobe. I think Booker had heard that and then got all big headed and think he's actually Kobe. And I'm not saying Booker's a bad player, but
he just had 58. He just had 58, and that's very hard to do. And he's still, and he's top.
Siakam had 52.
Who?
Pascal Siakam. He had 52. I think that was 2 days ago.
He's not. Booker is higher than Pascal.
I mean,
Spicy P.
Absolutely.
Spicy P. Anyone with that nickname, I'm just not scared of. But I mean, he's good. He's good. He's on my fantasy. He's giving me numbers, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
act like he don't. But yeah, Booker Booker's one of the top 10 scorers in the league today. I mean,
True.
that's just a fact. Pascal's not. But at the end of the day, I really do feel as though Aiton did find his place in Phoenix to me.
Yes.
I mean, you had Chris Paul. I mean, his game got better when
It
Chris
has.
Paul arrived. He was averages of 17 and 10 or something like that, 17 and 8 or something. And that was the most. So he did
Mm-hmm.
elevate. He did get better. It's just I think he's wanting more, and I don't think he understands that when you have Booker, I think he thinks he's supposed to be the number one option. And I don't think he realizes until Booker is like kaput or they have him go somewhere. He's not gonna be number one option while Booker is there. Maybe if Chris Paul was there, it'd be different, like just him and Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
I
with
agree.
Booker there, I think he thinks he's supposed to be on the same level, which he
Mm-hmm.
can, but you know how it go. It's just not. He's just not going to be that number one. So if he's going to ask them to choose, I think he's going to get his feelings hurt
Oh yes,
because
absolutely. But
they gave Booker all that money already. They been gave him
mm-hmm.
his money. Like they did that like third year. Like they was like, I already know. Da, da, this, da, da,
Yeah.
da, da. Like so, yeah. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I think the problem with Booker is, and then we said we was gonna have a conversation about this one day. He's kind of in the Luka Trae atmosphere too, where they're so ball dominant. And Booker's not as bad as Luka and Trae. Let me say that. And I think the CP3 calms that down a little bit. But
Yeah.
Booker's whole mindset is getting a shot. And I think the Suns, when they got Aiton, was thinking they was gonna have maybe a Kobe type, Shaq type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
Aiton is probably sitting back like I'm the number one pick. I was the number one high school recruit coming out.
Yeah.
So I expect to come to the NBA, and I feel like the offense should flow through him. Aiton's issue is I won't say he's an old school big. So this was like, to give you an example,
No,
this
he's
was
not an old school big, but
he's not like Jahlil Okafor. Jahlil
yeah.
Okafor, if he would have played 20 years ago, Jahlil Okafor probably would have been a top 5 center. But he came in this league where you need centers to shoot. We're not throwing the ball in the post like it used to be. And I think that's why Okafor struggled. And I think that's Aiton's issue too. Aiton wants the ball in the post, let him do his work, but Book also wants his shots. You got CP3 want his shots. Jay Crowder wanted his shot. I think that's why Jay Crowder going through this issue. And I think Monty is just having a hard time trying to figure out. Phoenix is absolutely imploding. If you have not been paying attention to Phoenix, they are absolutely imploding. And it's amazing because it was just, 2 years ago they was in the finals and they were
Mm-hmm.
up 2-0. They were up
Yeah.
2-0 and
They
let
should have won
Milwaukee
that
come back.
series.
Yes. And then
That
Giannis just
was
said, hey, y'all get on my back and I'll take over.
that's on Monty. I will
It is.
always put that on Monty. Why would you have he just had DeAndre Ayton guard Giannis the whole time, one on one. He didn't build a wall. Or at least try to. He just I guess you wanted to trust Ayton the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's why you're in your predicament. Like as far as defensively, he had him guard Giannis the whole time. Giannis ate him up, and he thought like, oh, we could still win with that. And Giannis finally went into kill mode and was like, oh, he can't guard me. And then it was just a wrap. Like I put that on Monty. I don't even. And then he burnt Chris Paul out to me, and Chris Paul was doing uncharacteristic things in the later part of the finals, like after two, like
Yeah.
game two. And I really honestly feel as though that was on Monty. He should have had a better plan
Well,
defensively against Giannis because everyone else, Chris Middleton was good,
yeah, he's
but it
decent.
wasn't, yeah, but he wasn't, he had others in the other series, he was better. Like he was
Yeah.
okay. But Giannis was like he couldn't be stopped, especially after game two. Well, he can't be stopped anyway, but we know, I'm just saying after game two, he really went into Shaq mode. Like, oh, none of y'all can guard.
Absolutely.
He should have went into like he didn't double team Giannis at all. There was no trying. There was no, they started getting soft. There was very finesse. There no bully.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, like, you have to like, I'm not saying go Jordan, like, excuse me, go how Bad Boys was on Jordan, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to at least try to be
Physical.
with him, at least a little bit with the wall. And I think they would have had a better chance. But they didn't do none of that. He didn't do none of that. He just sat there and let Giannis go one-on-one against Ayton. And that's probably what hurt him and Ayton's relationship to begin with.
Oh
So
yeah. It absolutely did. And I think the reason why he did it because people forget when Ayton came into the draft, he was labeled another David Robinson. Now, if y'all
yeah, they
remember
had the
David
same
Robinson,
game. His potential is David Robinson. He
it
had,
is.
especially at Arizona when he was in college, if you remember those games, he was complete. He was running up and down the floor. He actually came down with the ball a little bit, like just
Mm-hmm.
dunking on people. Like that was like, oh, we was like, oh,
Yep.
okay. And then it kind of went, he got injured, I think, his first year, like a little bit. He had like
Yeah.
knick-knack injuries. Knick-knack
Yeah.
injuries.
He missed. I think he missed like 20 games his rookie year. I think he did get injured, and then I think the next year is when they got Chris Paul and they went to the finals that year. And I mean, I
It was that
understood
fast?
it.
It was
I
that
believe
fast?
because let me see. Luka and Trae and them been in the league 4 years. The bubble was 3 years ago.
Oh,
And you
wow.
remember the bubble was the year that they didn't make it to the bubble playoffs, but they went
That makes
undefeated.
sense because that's why he signed the new contract, after 4 years, I think,
Yeah, after
right?
4 years, it was
They
his time
signed
to get his new contract.
extension. Okay, that makes sense. Wow, he
So
only been in the league that long. That's crazy.
Aiden needs to go somewhere else. That's why I just honestly think it is. I do think Aiden is still really good, and I do absolutely understand why he was the first pick. I think it's a lot of pressure on him because Luka's putting pressure on the entire class. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Because now teams like, Phoenix or even Memphis to a point because people forget Jaren Jackson was the number 2 pick. Could you
Yeah.
imagine what Memphis would have looked like? But then, you know what? And that's going to slide us to our next conversation on a point that I want to bring to.
Mm-hmm.
Players like Luka and Trae, to an aspect, are very great players, but they're very hard to build around. Because I always said
You
this
mean the
about Luka.
system? I think you're talking about the system.
I don't even think it's a system. Luka is ball dominant. He is ball. I think his usage rate is at like 60-70%, one of the highest in the NBA.
LeBron was too, though.
But you got to remember, when LeBron played at Cleveland his first couple of years, he had to figure that out, though, because that was his issue. It gets to a point when you watch Dallas sometimes, if you watch that offense, there's no flow. Basically, everybody just looks at Luka and just spreads out and let him do his thing. And then if he throws you the ball, you better be ready to shoot. And that's why I think Porzingis couldn't get in the flow. That's why I think Dennis Smith Jr. couldn't get in the flow. Now there's rumors Christian Wood might be traded because he's not working out in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I think Luka has to figure out how to change his game somehow. Now, it's hard to do because Dallas ain't winning nothing if Luka ain't getting the points. So what you think?
No, we talked about that. Yeah, I mean, they're not. That's why his MVP chances will always look good, because without Luka, they're really not. I mean, they're not like they're a whole not like NOT capital, but capitalization. So I mean, I get it. Trae too. I feel more Luka. The ball dominance is hurting, but he don't have as much around him.
No, absolutely not like Trae.
Yeah, Trae has a little bit more. I'm not saying he don't have an all-star team, but Luka definitely it helps his case more. Like he really don't have like because Dinwiddie a baller. Like Dinwiddie gonna give you a solid 17 and 6 a night. But other
Tim
than
Hardaway
that,
Jr.
I think them not signing Brunson, I think that because Brunson is balling, whether people
Oh
know
yes.
that. Brunson's balling. And I really feel like, and I think they didn't want, I thought the way they was acting, they were going to let Brunson go, and they were going to get like a Zach LaVine or a Bradley Beal, something like the way how they were talking. And then they didn't even get no one. Like they got Christian Wood, who is good, and someone down below for Luka to throw to.
Absolutely.
But they need another. And this is in today's league. People don't want to admit it. You need another star. This is not, and everyone, this is that Detroit Piston 2004 championship. That is a one-time thing. That is not going to happen again, where there's no like super duper stars to where it's like two. It's usually two, or at least a Larry Bird was a superstar, and then you had like three all-stars.
Well, I mean, Detroit,
I'm just saying because Larry Bird didn't really have like a super duper star with him. Kevin McHale was not considered a superstar. Let's be real. The Chief was not considered a superstar. And yes, that might be fighting words, but that's just facts. What's the other one who passed away? The point guard. He was fine.
Dennis Johnson, DJ.
Yes, he was the man. He was not a superstar. The only superstar that was on that Celtics, even the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Thomas was definitely the only superstar. Like Dennis Rodman did his thing. Joe Dumars did his thing.
Joe Dumars, you had Sally, you had Lambier.
You sit here and tell me they were superstars? No, they were just really good. They were all-star levels to it. Joe Dumars like an all-star type. Dennis Rodman every now and then.
Dumars is a Hall of Famer, so.
That is true, but at the time, am I going to act like I was there? No. But I talked to people who was there, and they would tell that you could talk to anyone who was at least in their 20s and the 80s. Joe Dumars was not considered a superstar. The only one that was Isaiah Thomas. The only one on that Boston team was Larry Bird. The only one on that Jordan team was Michael Jordan. People want to act like Jordan had like 5 all-stars, especially in the 80s. I'm like, y'all tripping. It was only him. I'm just saying, in today's NBA, having just one superstar to really like carry. I know LeBron has done it, but you see, he didn't win when he was truly by himself. You need a second person. And I'm just saying, Luka, Trae, who else? Ja. Even people feel like Ja could do it, but I don't think.
Not ball dominant.
No, I'm just saying he is the only truly superstar in this team.
That's true.
And that's just facts. I can't now. I'm trying to think about 2. Well, of course, the Lakers, they have 3. People want to talk about Westbrook like he's not, but he's still a superstar.
If we think about teams that have 2 superstars, you got the Lakers with AD and LeBron.
Brooklyn, KD and Kyrie.
What do you think about Miami with Bam and Jimmy? Do you think Bam?
Those are 2 all-stars.
All-stars. Okay.
Those are 2. Well, I love Jimmy. Jimmy will always be considered to me, he's a superstar, but I know to a lot of people he's not. He's more of a postseason. He's gonna shock you. He's gonna beat your favorite player. He's your favorite player. He's your favorite player's favorite player. He's one of those type of guys, but he's never. To a lot of people, he's not considered a superstar, and that's just facts. People would consider like Kawhi and PG. Some people don't consider PG a superstar. I will put him at the caliber. I put him there. Anyone who has a shoe, I try to put you on the level of superstar. And because at the end of the day, you have to be some sort of level of stardom to get a shoe. Like you can't just be out here a regular old Smojo and get a shoe. Like you have to be on a level. It's levels to it. So, and even the Devin Booker is not considered a superstar to people. Those are 2 superstars.
Okay. I think Harden ain't a superstar no more. I think he's cooked. But
I think once you're a superstar, it doesn't leave.
No, superstar can be cooked, in my opinion.
Okay, they could be cooked, but they considered a superstar. Like
so when Allen Iverson was on Denver,
Chris Paul is cooked. Chris Paul is basically cooked, right? To you, I know he's cooked. So, but he's still considered a superstar. That's why he's still held to a certain standard. That's why we still hold James Harden to a certain standard because he's considered a superstar. Still, when he chokes in the playoffs, if he was to do it again, we're going to get on him.
Oh,
Why?
absolutely.
Because we still consider him a superstar. He did it again. But at the end of the day, he's still considered. That's just my opinion. I think once it's there, it's there. Okay, look, Carmelo. At the end of the day, he has a superstar the name is a superstar name.
The Denver Carmelo and the New York Knicks Carmelo was a superstar. Right now, he's kind of like a role player, but he still has that status. I mean, he ain't.
That's what I mean. That status of superstar to me doesn't really leave you. You are like, if someone was to sign him, maybe like, oh, he's not the same. But once he's on the team, because he's still considered a Hall of Famer, right? He's gonna be in the Hall of Famer. I'm sorry, he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, he made top 75, so it'd be ridiculous if he didn't make Hall of Fame.
True. So
yeah.
And then who else? But there's not a lot of teams with two superstars. It's only like a few. But I'm just saying, like, that was more like, I feel like, which is good. The playing field of teams now are more well-rounded to be like, you can have one superstar and then like have like a bunch of really, 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 really good players, or a couple of all-stars. Which should be good enough. Right?
Absolutely.
It just seems like when you need a bucket, I feel like I'm gonna need my second star. If he's not a superstar, he at least has to be a star.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, it's not like how it was in the 80s and 90s where you could have that one superstar. I know I know you talked about him being overrated. But he was still an all-star and he was still a star. And at the end of the day, Jordan Slick trusted him to be like, hey, do your thing, right? So, and he was considered a superstar back then.
Yeah, he was.
Well, especially in the 90s. I'm not saying when he first came, because in the first he had to prove himself and
Yeah.
But 80s Jordan, he was just really by himself. Like, there's really no team, especially if you think of a team, that's a good topic too. Can you think of a team that really had like two like bona fide superstars and just went crazy? You really can't.
Stephen KD.
No, in the 80s.
Oh, in the 80s. Okay. 80s. Oh yeah, Magic and Kareem.
See, and Kareem was like super old.
But
especially in the late 80s.
I understand it.
You still consider him a superstar.
I understand it. But Kareem still won MVPs in them 80s. And I think he won finals MVP. One of them years he won finals MVP.
I'm talking about we talking about the full-blown 80s, yes. In the beginning, yeah. And then like from 86 that went till he retired, he was kind of cooked.
Yeah, he was. But then he had James, I don't know. Well, James Worthy is a question mark because he did make the Hall of Fame. I don't know if we consider James Worthy
is Hall of Fame. James Worthy was a big play. What they call him?
Big Play James.
Big Play James. No, that's Big Play Shea. You talking about Shannon Sharp?
No, James Worthy was Big Play James.
Really?
I believe so.
No, I don't think so. Someone got to tell us.
Google. Got the power of Google.
I know it's Big Play Shea.
Yeah, I know about Big Play Shea.
But either way, he was a great player and he was a great compliment, right? And he was an all-star.
He was.
So, and he definitely was clutch as heck. So, I'm just saying.
Big game, James.
Big game. See, I knew it. Yeah. And he was. But I'm just trying to say, like, he wasn't really a superstar though. Like, people don't be like, yeah, James Worthy was a superstar. I mean, well, my dad might, because he was great to him.
I got another one. I got another one in the 80s. They didn't win it, and it took them a while. But I mean, John Stockton and Karl Malone was in the 80s. Both of them were, you know, they had the issue running through, of course, Magic and them and the Lakers. You had David Robinson and the Spurs.
Okay, you said David Robinson and the Spurs. Doesn't count. Okay.
No, I'm saying, what I'm saying is, you were saying, what are two stars that got together and went crazy? Now Utah
David
never
Robinson
made
and
it.
who?
They never made it. No, what I'm saying is Utah never made it to the finals because that West was so tough. I'm more talking about Utah. And I'll say Utah had two superstars, but it's hard to say because they never made it to the finals in the 80s. But then I was like, the West was kind of tough. You had Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson. Ralph Sampson, for some old heads, would probably feel like he was a superstar before. I think his knees went out. And they made it to the championship, and Olajuwon's second year, I believe. Because they lost.
That's the one they went against the.
They didn't win. They lost. I believe they lost
to
Boston.
Philly.
It was Boston. Okay, it was Boston. I didn't know if it was Boston or Philly. I got another one in the 80s though. Julius Erving and Moses Malone. Now people.
He was oldest. He was old, but okay, yeah.
On Moses Malone, and
I'm telling people, he's a whole MVP.
Moses Malone is in my top 20. That's how.
But I'm saying he's a whole MVP. Who sleeps on him? And he was the reason why Dr. J even won a championship. Exactly. If you really want to be honest.
Moses was people forget that year Philly beat the 4-4-4 team that beat Magic and them in the finals. Moses gave Kareem a business in that finals. I tell people research Moses Malone. He was very good.
I know you make fun of me about not knowing one person. I think it was Arvydas Sabonis, which I knew about him, but I didn't look at his old highlights. But I already knew about Moses. I knew Moses was that guy. And then Charles Barkley always talks about him, how he was like, bro, you fat and slow, get it together. Yeah. And then that changed his life. He talks about it. So I know Moses was that deal. So that's a good one. I'm just saying I knew about him, and he was the reason why Julius Erving even, to me, got his ring. So
that's very true. I'll say this to wrap up the topic, and then we're gonna go to our top players in the league. Mm-hmm. I'll wrap it up like this. What's going on, I think, is I've always said this, even as me as a Michael Jordan fan, and I like to mess with LeBron fans and all that. You need a team. I was telling a friend of mine. We was talking about the quote Miles Bridges said, where Miles Bridges told Ayton, "You don't do this ish in the playoffs." And he was like, well, what do Bridges do? I say Bridges does his role. Because in basketball, you need players to do their roles. When Chicago was on that run, they had a bunch of players that knew their roles. Ron Harper knew, I play defense. Scottie Pippen, I play defense, score buckets. Luke Longley, Dennis Rodman, they all knew their roles. Right. And that's what kind of is now. You do need a second. So the playoffs is all about, do you have a player that when we're down and we need a bucket, can we give you the ball and say, hey, go score us a bucket? That's honestly, to me, what the playoffs are about. And that's when you notice when teams rise up. If you think about it through the years, let's see. Last year champion was Golden State. That's Steph. 2 years ago, that was Giannis. And we all know when Phoenix was up 2-0 against Milwaukee, Giannis basically said, hey, y'all get on my back. I got this rodeo, and he just flat out took over. But he had good role players. He had Middleton, who would get you 15. Middleton had a 40-point game against the Hawks. You had Lopez, who has completely recreated his game. People forget Lopez was a post player, and then he learned how to shoot threes, and now he became more of an outside effect that can block shots. And then you had Drew Holiday, who was not a slouch, one of the best on-ball point guard defenders in the league. But you are absolutely right. And honestly, I cannot think of a team. I was doing it while we was talking, that who just basically carried his whole entire No, I can't even say LeBron. Because that year they won, Kyrie was definitely important on that team.
He was definitely important.
Mm-hmm. He was definitely important. The only ones I say who carried a team by himself, going by my memory, older people, please don't get on me, is LeBron James with that Cleveland squad, and they got swept by San Antonio, and Allen Iverson in 2001 and Allen Iverson was even better than me because he won one game at least. And everybody forget that's the only playoff game that Lakers squad lost that year was again, and Allen Iverson basically beat him by himself, and then Shaq, who is one of the most unstoppable players in history, just said, all right, y'all not going to do nothing with me. But with that being said, let's switch it up. So I'm going to let you start off. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our top 10 point guards in the league right now. Right now
Okay.
on December 23rd, 23rd. Christmas Eve is tomorrow. I'm slow. 23rd. Who is your top 10 point guards right now?
My top 10 point guards right now, I have no particular order or an order.
That's up to you. I'm gonna put mine in order though.
Okay,
Just
no particular order, and then you're gonna write off of me.
Order.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. I'm going to let's see, because I do have them. Luka, Ja,
Okay.
Shea, Trae,
Okay.
Fox,
Okay.
Lillard, Garland, Irving, and is that 9 or 10? I think that's. Oh, and then Tyrese.
Oh yeah, Tyrese is definitely slept on. He's definitely slept on. If I was to go, the best point
That
guard
wasn't in order. That wasn't in order, by the way. Even though it kind of was, kind of wasn't.
My 10 would be Steph. Steph to me is the number 1 point guard right now.
Oh snap! Why don't I have Steph on there?
Because Steph and Luka is tricky because they're not stereotypical point guards. They're combo guards.
Right.
In my eye, they're combo guards, but their offense flows through them, but they are at the point guard position. That's why I think it's tricky putting Steph in the top 5 point guards in history, because it's a little tricky because he was more of a scoring point guard than an actual pure point guard.
That's why I never put AI on. He's more on my shooting guard list. I'm not putting him in but let me do it. Okay, so these are my top 10, like legit.
Okay.
Luka.
Okay.
Steph.
2.
Ja.
3.
Shea.
4.
Trae.
5.
Lillard.
6.
Garland.
7.
Fox.
8.
Irving.
9. Got one more.
Drew Holiday.
Ooh, Drew Holiday. No Melo?
He hasn't played. I'm not you. I like people. I don't put people in that.
What about? Hold on. I got one.
He's been hooping since he's been back, but their team is just not good. They don't have none of the team that they had before.
They definitely missing Miles Bridges. They definitely missing
Miles Bridges. What's his name? Has barely played. Let me just put that in there. What's his name? Scary Terry. He really hasn't played that much. I think he's been injured. He hasn't played.
I think he's been injured. And Bridges got in trouble, so that's why
Bridges got in trouble. And LaMelo just came back, but since he's been back for the past 4 games, he's been averaging 25 and 8. I mean, he's doing fine, but the team just isn't that good. So I just said that to say he hasn't played, so he's not in my top 10. But yeah.
Okay. My top 10, I'll go Steph 1, Luka 2, Ja 3. I'm gonna give you a shocker. Right now, the way he's playing, Shea is 4 in my eyes.
I think that's who I had Shea. Did I have Shea at 4? I think I had Shea at 4.
Shea 4. I would put Kyrie, because he is absolutely playing good now, at 5. Yeah. Dame at 6. Fox 7. Garland 8. Do I want to put Garland 8?
Garland is great. I like and this people get mad at me, but I like Tyrese a little better.
That's what I'm saying. I think I'll take Halliburton over Garland. So I'll go Halliburton 8.
And people think I'm crazy. I just love Tyrese game. It makes me really sad. This is how I know James Dolan is trash, because he didn't choose Tyrese. He chose Obi. But wait
a minute. I thought you liked the Obi topic.
I do, but we needed a point guard, and it just, it's just, I'm just, I'm not going to stress. Keep on going.
And I'm giving you a shock. I actually got Trae at 10 for the way he's been playing so far.
He hasn't played that well.
He hasn't played that well. I think he's going to make the All-Star team because he's Trae Young, but honestly, there's a couple of players I would put ahead of him.
I don't even think the fans are going to vote for him as the backcourt this year. Like, I'm sorry, they are, but I don't think he's.
Well, I don't know. It's going to be tough because he's going to have Kyrie. He's going to have to battle Kyrie, and I think Kyrie's going to get a lot of love. Halliburton. I think.
No, fans going to vote for Trae over him now.
They're going to vote for Trae ahead of him. But Trae just got to. To me, Trae just got to get better. I know a friend of mine, shout out to Big Darius Atticle. I know he probably laughing at me because me and him used to battle about Trae and Luka, and I was like, y'all really hating on Trae.
Yeah, and you
But
can choose him on your fantasy, but it's cool though. I was left to have him.
I mean, first of all, let's just keep it 100. I mean, I love Trae all the day, but Luka was gonna give me more points.
But you were hating on Luka your whole life, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I gotta choose Luka.
Hold on. First of all, I was not hating. What I was saying was, if you are a bona fide top 5 superstar, people saying you a future Hall of Famer, I don't care if you out there with 12 fat people. You should be able to figure out how to get out the first round. That's my thing with Tracy McGrady, and
basketball is a team. Basketball is a team sport. You can't have trash people.
If you are a great, all-time great, you need. I know a lot of LeBron fans gonna love to hear me say this. If Michael Jordan played now on the social media, we in the early part of his career, I would have said the same thing. I'm like, yeah, Michael Jordan great and all, but he can't get past the first round. He got swept by Boston. He got beat by Milwaukee. Like, he can't get past the first round, so I cannot put you in that echelon until you can figure out how to get past the first round.
Jordan even knew that. He talks about it all the time. He was like,
that's what I'm saying.
And all that.
And that's what I'm saying. If Jordan played now, I would say the same thing about Jordan. If he had the same career arc as Luka, like, yeah, Jordan great and all, but he can't. You would be saying you can't win with Michael Jordan. Luka, I ain't gonna lie. That playoff run last year where he just was out here. What he did to Phoenix, and everybody was thinking Phoenix was gonna win be in the championship, was bananas. Because Phoenix had a defensive team, and it did not matter. I will say Luka is definitely a very great player. I mean, he killed Kawhi and Paul George, but they still blew a 3-1 lead. He blew a 3-1 lead twice.
He did.
So that's my thing.
But he didn't have he doesn't have, look, he don't have the greatness around him though. Not like.
But hey, now he does.
I know you're using that as an excuse, but it's true.
I mean, I ain't gonna hate on him now because he did get past the first round. He killed in the second round. Killed Phoenix in the second round, and gave Golden State a run. But then that's when it was like, okay, he really don't have a team. Like, there's nothing you can do past that. But but that's my top 10 point guards. I still think Steph is the best point guard in the league. I mean, you can tell now Steph is hurt and Golden State is looking absolutely garbage juice right now, getting waxed by 35 and 40 points. That they're clearly missing Steph. But far as young point guards, Ja will be Luka and Ja, the top 2 of the next generation. But I definitely like you. I wouldn't sleep on Halliburton. I wouldn't sleep on De'Aaron Fox. Wouldn't sleep on Garland. First of all, I wouldn't sleep on Cleveland, period. Low key, I think Cleveland gonna make the conference finals this year.
All right.
So let's go. So that's our top 10.
Don't try and go past that. Don't try and go past that. You over here trying. Yeah. So what you just said was wild, but okay.
Look, first of all, we'll get to this side note, and then we'll get to the top 10 two guards. Cleveland has one of those rosters. It's similar to Detroit, where you really don't have a superstar, but you got 4 very good players with Garland and Mobley and Allen, and then you throw in Mitchell. I think Mitchell was the key for Cleveland because the problem with Cleveland last year when they went to the playoffs is, like I said, they didn't have nobody that would say, hey, here's the ball. We need a bucket. Now they do. Donovan Mitchell's playing out of his mind right now. And I would not sleep on Cleveland, I'm telling y'all, because Mobley is going to be another shocker. Mobley is KG 2.0 with a more calmer demeanor. Evan Mobley or Mobley. He could be Kevin Garnett 2.0. And then you have Alice. So you have 2 shot blockers, 2 defenders, and then Garland runs the point and Mitchell. I'm just saying. When it gets to June, all I'm gonna say is, I told y'all, if they make it, I ain't gonna say they're gonna make it to the championship. Don't get it twisted. I don't think they can beat Milwaukee. My favorite right now is Milwaukee. Yes, I know your favorite probably what's his name, Tatum and crew, even though they're 1-4, since they got blowed out by Golden State. But I think Cleveland can absolutely beat Boston.
Don't say Tatum and crew. Don't say Tatum and crew. You say Brown and crew. You don't say Tatum's name.
Oh no, yeah.
You say
You are
Brown
right.
and crew.
Jaylen Brown and
since
crew
he's so much
need
better,
to play
so
better because Jaylen Brown is Jordan and Tatum is Scotty. But
okay.
Anyway, speaking of Jaylen Brown, I'll start off with the top 10 two guards in the league right now.
Please do, honey. After that.
Let's see. I would say number one. Would it be Devin Booker?
Yeah, I mean, are you going first or you want me to go?
Well, let's talk about it.
Because I do have Booker. I have Booker.
The two guards, and for people who don't know what two guard is, that's a shooting guard. To me, that's a little bit tougher to gauge.
Really?
To me, I mean,
it's tough because there's not a lot of shooting guards. Like point
and I
point
think
guards
that's the
are
issue
ruling
because
the whole league. So
right now, I'm looking at two guards right now: James Harden, Bradley Beal, Klay Thompson, Devin Booker, Zach LaVine, C.J. McCollum, Donovan Mitchell, DeRozan, Paul George, Jaylen Brown. And then after that, it gets a little rough. So I'll give you mine. I'll say Booker is number one. Bradley Beal is number two. Donovan Mitchell is number three in my eyes.
Right.
Jaylen Brown, I'll put at 4. Paul George, I'll put at 5.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards is in my top 10. I think I'll have him at 9. Now, I think Anthony Edwards will eventually be the best. I mean, don't get it twisted. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be the best player in the league eventually.
He definitely. I said that on our show. I think it was episode 2 or maybe.
Yeah.
I said Ant definitely. I wouldn't be shocked if he is the best player in the league, but I feel like he's going to be in. I'm not saying he's unfortunate. It's actually a blessing to be around such great players, but he's going to have to contend with Ja, contend with Luka, still contend with Giannis. And so that's just his thing, but he definitely is going to be considered the best player in the league. He'll be all right. Okay. He just got to be able to know how to win too.
So I'll go Edwards. One, I would put, and it's tricky because he. So, do you think Chris Middleton is a 2 or a 3?
Chris Middleton? I consider him a 3, but I guess he can be considered a 2. But I didn't put him in my 2. I consider him more of a 3.
Okay.
I feel like the 2. Like if you look at what's the word? If you look at like their lineup, it always seems like Chris Middleton is with small forward.
Well, let's see. I know they go Drew at point, and I do think, you know what? I think they do put Middleton at 2 because
they do.
I think does Bobby Portis start?
He do, but he's more of a power forward.
But then you also got Lopez. But that's what the thing is. That's the hard thing about the NBA. It's really positionless basketball because I believe they go Holiday, Portis, Middleton, Lopez, Giannis. So if Lopez is the 5, Giannis is the 4. Portis darn sure ain't a 2. Portis will probably be the 3, which Portis ain't even a 3 in my eyes. Okay. And then Middleton, and because Middleton is
that's what it says.
Yeah, that's the lineup. That's the lineup.
So he's considered a shooting guard. Okay.
Yeah, so he's considered a 2 guard. If he is considered a 2 guard, I'll put Middleton at 6, Klay at 7. You know what? Switch that. I would put DeRozan 6. I would put DeRozan over Ant-Man. I'll put DeRozan at 5. DeRozan 5, Ant 6. Klay 7. No, excuse me, Middleton 7, Klay 8. And after that, it gets questionable.
See, I'm looking on the NBA.
Because Jimmy's tricky because Jimmy can switch from 2 and 3.
I'm looking
CJ McCollum was a point to me.
I'm looking online though, and it's telling me that Chris Middleton is a small forward. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
I'm
saying.
on
It's tough to
ESPN
gauge.
and NBA.com.
It's tough to really gauge, because Middleton to me is a three, but this positionless
He's
basketball.
a three, and he's like
You know,
6'8", 6'9".
6'8".
He's a three. Yeah,
But the tricky part, to me, Luka's not a point guard. Luka to
he's
me
a
is a
point
two
guard,
guard.
honey.
He's a two
He's
guard.
not. No, he's
He's a two
not.
guard. But
The way he passed the ball, no, he's a point guard. We're gonna give him a little more credit. He's a point guard. If that's the case, then Ja is definitely a shooting guard. If Luka is a shooting guard,
I can give you that. If Brunson would have been still at Dallas, I think he would have been more two, because I think they would have had Brunson run point.
And Brunson's, I know he's more of a combo. I think he could be
combo.
considered a shooting, because when you look at his name, it says PG/SG.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about him. And Anthony Simons, he's considered a shooting guard. He's a shooting guard.
And you know what? Simons is in my top 10, because Simons is absolutely balling.
Yeah.
But that's like CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum is not a two in my eyes, but he is a two.
He's a two. Yeah, he's a two. I mean, he's more of a combo, but his game is a two. Yeah. He's actually a small. I mean, he's only 6'4", or I say only, like I'm 5'5" and a half.
Nice.
So
I think that's being nice, because I think he's like 6'2". I think
you think so?
Being nice.
Well, I don't know, because they say, then how tall is Dame? Because he's taller than Dame. I seen him next to Dame.
Dame, I think, is 6'1".
Dame is not on 6'1". Yeah, Dame is 6'2", 6'3".
I think
because I see them next to Steph. You trying to say Steph 6'1", 6'2"?
Nah, Steph about 6'3".
But next to Steph, he the same height. Look at pictures
with them next to each other. So it's hard to tell. And Kyrie got that fro.
No, Kyrie out. They say he's like 6'1", and I believe him.
Yeah,
Kyrie, so that makes his game even more better. The fact that he's 6'1" and such a great finisher at the rim.
Yeah. So. I think to me, Dame is about 6'1" in my eyes. But that's what I think. It's really tough, because there's a lot of good young two guards that could be possibly coming up. Jaden Ivey is one. Jalen Green. Mm-hmm. Cade Cunningham is going to be tricky, because he can play point and two.
No, see, you're doing too much. He's a point guard. He's a point. He's a point guard. I know he's 6'9", but he's a point. Or no, how old is he? I think he's like 6'5".
He's 6'8". No, he's 6'8". He's a legit 6'8".
Okay, well, he's a point guard. He plays the point. He was averaging 9 assists. Like he's definitely a point guard. He's just big for no reason. But he's a PG. Not the way these young kids are growing up. It's just the way it is. We're gonna have 7 feet. We're gonna have 7 foot point guards, and that's just the way it goes. So
hey man, y'all saw Bol out here. 7'2", 7'3".
Okay, Bobo's not a point guard.
But that's what I'm saying. It's starting because
he's going crazy.
Bol at point guard. So
I almost put him on my fantasy. I think someone took him. It was probably you too.
And then you got Wemby. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I feel for, if you're a short person trying to play the NBA, I hope you can really, really jump. You got Wemby, 7'4", handling the rock. The KD era, I think it's.
That's what I've been trying to tell people. When it all comes down to it, we're going to talk about how he went to Golden State. Cool, but his legacy is also going to be how these kids are legit. And they all will tell you their favorite player is KD. Victor, even Bobo. Of course, he loves his dad. He talks to his dad's favorite. But KD, all these kids that's over 6'9", they will tell you their favorite player or their inspiration is KD. And it's a beautiful thing to see as a fan. But yeah, for the league in general, it's going to be scary. Like every Cade Cunningham, the 6'8" point guards, and then the 7-foot shooting guards, and then the 7'7" small forwards. And
I'm thinking now you got Cade 6'8". I think Halliburton is 6'5", 6'6". Melo is 6'6", 6'7". Lonzo is about 6'6",
6'5", right? Or 6'6". Yeah, he's tall.
6'5", 6'6". Yeah, Fox is 6'5". Yeah, man, it's definitely different. And then you'll get someone like Zion who's maybe 6'7", two hundred
But
eighty
he's
pounds,
huge.
but he's huge. I mean, to me, Zion is Charles Barkley 2.0. If Charles Barkley was to
Yeah.
get in shape.
I
And
don't know. What's the he played for my Knicks, but he got, his knees were kind of done. Grandmama, what's his
Larry
name?
Johnson.
Yeah, what was
Larry
his
Johnson, grandmama.
Mama? Yeah, that's who he reminds me of him too, especially when it's UNLV days. I'm sure you've seen him highlight.
Oh
That's
yeah.
how that was a Zion reminds me of him too.
I can see
But
that. I can definitely see that.
but definitely Charles Barkley, of course, because how much bigger he is. But Zion's doing his thing. He's still in your MVP discussion.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I'm just happy to see a healthy Zion, and I'm proud of that. But so I guess I'll say my shooting guards real quick.
Say yours real quick.
Booker, Mitchell, Brown. Ooh, gotta be putting Brown in there for you. Whatever. And I have Ant. Zachary. I'm still gonna put Bradley Beal in there because Bradley Beal's still solid.
He's still top 10.
Yeah, and then
Clay.
I have Bane. Clay. I do have Clay. Bane's a hoop. He looked like a linebacker, like he's supposed to be playing for the Tennessee Titans.
Exactly.
But he's definitely he can shoot the heck out of that ball. And it looks like he looks like a football player trying to shoot. And it just really upsets me. You know how football players in the LA Fitness, and you be like, they trash. And then they usually are trash, but then you got that one football player who actually used to hoop, but he's more of a football player, but he's huge. And he be hitting you, be like, oh snap, okay, you are not on the football field. And then you be like, oh, he could shoot a little bit too. Okay, that's Bane. And so I mess with Bane. I like him. Then CJ. Okay. So wait, who? Oh, I did have Clay. I said Clay after Bane.
Okay.
But and then I have some honorable mentions. Tyler Hero's balling. When he plays. And it's Simons. I have him as an honorable mention too, because I just want to give him his love. And then Jordan Poole, I know he's up and down, but when he is on, he does his thing. Like I want to give
by offensive skill set, he's definitely top 10.
Top 10 offensive skill sets for sure. Yeah.
But he could be unguardable. Liability though.
He's a big liability.
Big on defense. Liability. What about so you must have DeRozan in your threes.
Yeah, he's more of a he is a shooting guard, huh?
I would say, that's what
I did have more of him. Dang. Then I would honestly, I would take, who would I take out? Probably Bane, I guess.
Because another one I give you is Paul George. I think Paul George is listed as
he's a small forward, and you know.
Then what is Kawhi then?
Kawhi's a small forward. They just play. No, they are just playing two small forwards at the same time with them. Yes. Paul George I think it's pick the night for them. Sometimes Kawhi play the shooting guard. Sometimes Paul George play the shooting guard. Whoever is whoever they're defending for the most part. But I feel like if we look up their name, they're both going to have small forwards next to it. And then more so shooting guard for Paul George for sure.
Yeah, because he handles the ball better.
Right, but I do still consider him more of a small forward because that's what he came into the league as. So that's what, he came into the league as small forward because he used to guard LeBron.
Actually, no, I don't think he did.
Yeah,
because Danny Granger played 3.
But he was still listed coming out of college as a small forward, though.
I have to investigate that because I think he did. Because I think he's like similar to Tracy McGrady. People put Tracy McGrady at 2.
Small
Tracy
forward.
McGrady was 6'9". I put Tracy McGrady at 2. Tracy McGrady was a 2. He was a 2.
No, he wasn't. That man was a 3.
A 6'9" too.
He was a 3.
Oh man, y'all.
But for me, he was a 3. I mean, look, he was a ball player. He was a hooper. It don't matter. But he's more of a 3 to me. And now well, honestly, he played every position. So, but I would consider him more. I guess you could put him at the 2. All I know is I have Paul George at the 3.
I think you just don't put Paul George in there. We all know you're a Paul George hater.
I'm not a Paul George hater. I only don't like when he gives himself nicknames and then he doesn't add up to it. That's all I'm saying. Like, that's all I'm saying. But I love his hairline. I love his game. And I definitely love how smooth he is. And when he was in Indiana, you can ask my husband, I was his biggest supporter. Okay, I definitely was. Is when he dunked on Birdman, I jumped out of my seat. I saw that live. I used to love him. I still actually do. I just want him to stay healthy and produce in the playoffs. I would love to see the Clippers win a championship. Would love it.
Paul George. Paul George gonna be tricky. Because I remember a friend asked me, "Do I consider Paul George a Hall of Famer?" But I'll say I'm a little bit of a hard grader.
Honestly,
because I'm gonna hit you with something. This is how hard of a grader I am. Honestly, as much as I loved him as a player, Tracy McGrady wasn't a Hall of Famer.
You did say that. You know, and honestly, and I get it, but I get it. He didn't. He barely made it out the first round.
A Hall of Famer ain't just about skills. There's a lot of people with skills make Hall of Fame, but to me, it's your accolades. And he never got past the first round.
I know.
He never
did. His accolades, your skill set does. I'm a full believer in the eye test, as you know. The eye test would tell you that he is in a Hall of Famer.
I mean, no.
Yes.
Eye test, yes.
But yes, the accolades do have to. I do agree. You do have to have some accolades. I agree.
Yeah, that's all I say. That's all I say is just
because there's some players that are not as good. What's the word? Some people have a better resume than certain other players, but they weren't as skilled as that other player, and that's just facts.
I get that, but I mean the Hall of Fame is wide open because there's a couple of players. Tracy McGrady.
Manu Ginobili is my favorite. Manu Ginobili is one of my favorite 6 men, and yes, he's skilled, but he's not as skilled as Tracy McGrady. But Manu's gonna be in the Hall of Fame. Why? Because his accolades.
Yeah.
His accolades. Yeah, he has championships. He made big shots too, but mostly because of his championships and who he played for, who he played with. That's what I'm saying.
Well, my thing with Tracy McGrady is this. His run was maybe 6 years.
I know, and that's mostly because of injury too. Some of it, that's my thing, though. Not all of it. Yeah.
But that's my thing. He toured in Toronto. I mean, he got playing time, but he wasn't a man. Then he went to Orlando. Had three or four good years, but never passed the first round.
He got injured, and then he went to Houston.
And for my Doc Rivers people forget that was Doc Rivers that was coaching that team that was down.
I mean, do Doc Rivers need to be in that top 15? What was that top 15 coaches?
Oh, that's going to be discussion for something else because another shocker from the King. Doc Rivers is one of the most overrated coaches in history. Absolutely.
I mean, slick. I give a slick, not a full slick, not a full blown yes, but it's a slick. Only because he's not the best at adjustments in games that I notice. No. And people think I'm crazy for that because they look at that 2008 championship and they're like, what? But if you look at his record, the record that you're talking about is really not that good. And he is not, like I said, he's not the best at adjustments. I'll just leave it at that.
I'll give you a perfect example of Doc. If you watch Last Chance U, Coach Mosley. Coach Mosley is a good coach. He is a motivator. But if you really watch Last Chance U, he's not an XO's guy. And that's Doc. He is a motivator. He can motivate you. But once the motivation starts and we looking at you to figure this out, he's not good at that. He gets out-coached. He definitely gets out-coached. And that's why he blows those leads. And I tell people, go through the history of Doc Rivers. When Doc Rivers succeeded, he needed a point guard that is one of the smartest point guards in the league. He had Rondo first, and that's when that Boston squad got up there. And then he got Chris Paul. And then that's when that squad got up there. But he needs a high basketball IQ point guard because the basketball high IQ point guard is the one with the X and O's. It's got to make the adjustments and all that. That was Rondo's job. That was CP3's job. Doc, I mean, don't get it twisted. He he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he won a championship, he won all these games. He's definitely a good coach. He's a good coach, one of the greatest motivators. But when it comes to the XOs, like coaches like Spo would run circles around Doc Rivers. Popovich would run circles around Doc
You
Rivers.
think Pat Riley would too?
Pat Riley would run circles on Doc Rivers. Like
Stan Van Gundy? I like Stan. Before you say something mean, I really do like Stan.
No. Stan's a good coach. Stan's a good coach. But to me, it is absolutely quite interesting that you coached that New Orleans team and they were absolutely trash. And Willie Green came in and now they done got better. And it did not change. It ain't like they actually lost players. Like when Stan was there, I believe he had Lonzo. Lonzo was there. Lonzo's gone. Willie Green gets there, and that team right now, I think they're number 3 because shockingly, hey all y'all, I be telling y'all that the Joker is probably the best player in the league. Yeah, he got his team the number 1 team in the West with absolutely no help. That's one player doing it with absolutely no help.
I tell people all the time, Joker is the best big in the league, and they love to bring up how Embiid is just more dominant. And I get it, he should be, but at the end of the day, Joker don't get hurt like that. Joker does his thing with less. He's proven that. And he's in I won't say a tougher conference anymore because the East is pretty tough now. So,
but the West still tough. The West 1 through 13 is only 4 or 5 games separating between 1 and 13 in the West.
Yeah, it's still very tough. So, but Joker's the man. Joker's the man. But he's not gonna win MVP because they're not gonna give it to him 3 times. I would be shocked if they gave it to him again, which he might. If he keeps this up, he might.
His numbers is just as good as his 2 MVP years. But like I told one guy, the problem with Joker and the reason why he's not going to win MVP again is, and I know it's a regular season award, but his playoff success is going to start carrying over to the point they're going to be like, well, okay, we're going to give you. What's the point of you winning MVP if you're getting your butt kicked out the first and second round in the playoffs? And I think that's going there this year because they basically got swept by Golden State last year in the first round, and that's going to start being a carryover effect because it's just like, all right, you're a nice MVP, but you're not proving it in the playoffs, which I think he proves in the playoffs. He just doesn't have, it's the Luka thing, just doesn't have a team around him. Michael Porter can't stay healthy. I always tell people, back injuries on basketball players is one of the worst injuries. Ruined Larry Bird's career, ruined Dwight Howard's career.
It ruins regular people's lives. So I can't even imagine.
Imagine trying to play with a back injury. And this man, back injury. 18. Like 18, he had a back injury. I don't think he's going to be the player he's going to be. And then he's absolutely, like, I think I can get past him. That's how bad he is.
I love how tired he looks and he still gets 25 rebounds. It's so inspirational. Hashtag future. Like, it's so inspirational. Like, I'd be like, wow, I need to be walking somewhere because this man is out here
playing with a bad bag. But anyway,
so, but that's hilarious.
You got
KD, I just want to say one more thing. KD is in the top 5 on MVPs this so far. I'm sorry, he's in my top 5 now. He's going crazy. His numbers are up there, actually better than Golden State's and OKC's.
That's all right. Joker's supposed to win the MVP. Joker's supposed to win the MVP again because his numbers better. But with that being said, that is the end of the
He's the only player. He's the only player. One more thing. KD's the only player. I just saw the stat. He's the only player that's shooting like 58% from the field. And he's 36 and 38 and 6 or something like that. He's the first player and then to have actually 6. I'm just saying, I'm just gonna give my guy some credit because I know and this is good. They don't have no attention on him. This is good. Kyrie's actually hooping. He's not taking days off. Benjamin is out here really playing, not crying. His back is decent, knock on wood. I'm just saying, watch out. They're looking good. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And with that being said, thank y'all for joining us at the Buzzer podcast. We'll be doing this 2 times a week. Please comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Let us know how you feel. Tell us if we sound right or we sound crazy. And join us again on Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. for the At the Buzzer podcast. I am King Will.
I'm Justnet. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. We'll see you Tuesday.
Scott, in your opinion, do you think Dak Prescott is a top 10 QB? Hey, y'all, this is At the Buzzer Podcast. I'm your host, King Will, with.
And I'm just Ned. Welcome.
Welcome to our
No.
first show, man. I hope y'all really
That's just my
get ready to
opinion.
see
I
these great
don't.
topics that we're going to
Well,
talk about. We're going to talk a lot
okay,
about
he might be number 9
NFL,
or